Visa debit card 5 times or more weekly for a chance to win a $500 shopping spree. Compliments of National Bank. So think twice the next time you want to use cash. Choose your National Bank Visa debit card instead, because you might be the next lucky winner. Use your National Bank Visa debit card every transaction for a chance to be the next lucky winner. Cashless SKN is our new lifestyle choice. National Bank, always here.
All right, well, welcome back to our program. And it's now time for us to get into our discussion on policing with you. And this morning in the studio, I'm the moderator, of course, but our host this morning is Sergeant Trevon Richards. Good morning to you, sir. And how are you doing today?
Good morning, GQ. Well, not bad. You know, it's always a pleasure to be here as per usual. Good morning to our listeners in radio land, both at home and abroad, and a special good morning to our sponsors, National Bank. This morning we have here two guests in the studio with us, GQ. I'll first have them introduce themselves before we get into the topic.
Island Constable Alexis Joseph.
And Alex Marshall. I'm the Island Constable Supervisor.
Yes, GQ, and this morning's topic is more or less to give the public some awareness as to the island constables and their duties, you know, where they fall within the organization of the police force, and what kind of respect they should be commanding, and what kind of authority they have, so to speak. So, Mr. Marshall, as the supervisor for the island constables, what is the role basically of an island constable?
Mr. Richards, basically, the island constables, they're like an assistant to the police. They don't have 100%, you know, the powers as a police officer, but basically they're assigned to areas, prescribed areas. Such examples, we had Port Zante, Old Road, Sandy Point by Brimstone Hill, Tabernacle at Black Rocks, and Frigate Bay, you know, Carambola, Reggae Beach, the Strip. So,
the hotspots.
Yes. So those are areas basically where they were assigned, you know, during tourist season. So not only to deal with tourists, we also deal with the local as well, because you remember we're protecting everyone. Because, you know, at a certain time, you know, locals are here, and as we see that now,
right,
with COVID right now.
And in other words, you're not discriminating either.
No.
Okay.
So those
Okay,
are
so basically they augment the police then, so to speak.
yes.
And their role was largely in part to function at the different prescribed areas.
Yes, sir.
Where tourists would frequent. Okay. So how are they different to the regular police officers?
Well, basically, you would say there's like a percentage-wise. You know, as a police officer, if you commit a crime, they come to a scene. A police officer can basically, once they have their own thought to decide, once they hear the evidence, they could do an arrest.
Right.
Where an island constable only can make an arrest once it's in their vision. You know, once the incident happened.
Okay.
In the area.
Right. If they're there and saw the whole thing unfold.
Yes.
Okay.
Because some people think an island constable can't arrest some people.
Right.
And, you know, that's the wrong idea.
So, provided you have first-hand knowledge, you can assess the situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so basically then, so it is, so there should not be the misconception that the island constable cannot arrest you at all.
Correct. Because a lot of people have the wrong idea. And we have incidents where that happened. You know, people would go in the crowd, oh, you can't arrest me, you can't do this, you can't do that, which is not true.
But so long as the incident would have unfolded, you know, and they would have witnessed it,
Correct.
then they'd be able to effect an arrest.
That's true.
And subsequently hand over whoever it is to the police officer.
To be charged.
All right. So you mentioned the prescribed areas, but we know since the 28th of March this year, the borders would have been closed. The 28th or the 29th, somewhere thereabout. So if they were originally assigned to the tourism prescribed areas, how were they reassigned now that the borders are closed? Granted that the opening of the borders is impending. It's on the 31st of this month. But how were they reassigned? when the borders were closed?
Well, basically, when the borders were closed, they helped in the monetary institutions, basically MoneyGram, Western Union, National Bank. So they were helping in them areas, you know, basically crowd control. You know, especially, you know, people were panicking, you know, especially going to the supermarkets.
And the line too
Best
long.
Buy.
And
Best Buy Value Market.
yes, agitated. And
Yeah.
yes.
So they kind of assist in the social distancing and the COVID policies
Okay.
that were implemented during the, you know, state of emergency.
Okay, so they more or less augmented the police and their duties then.
That's true. You know, kind of relieve the strain that's on the police.
Indeed, particularly in these times of crisis.
Yes, sir.
Now, the group recently participated in a refresher course.
Correct.
Sometime recently. Can you give an overview of the course and tell us why that course in particular was important for them to have been involved in?
Well, the course was very important because basically we have a lot of recommendations from people. You know, a lot of times they'll see me and saying that this need to be done. They think maybe this might need to be implemented to make it a more smoother operation. We had Inspector Edwards, Sergeant Thompson, Sergeant Boone, Corporal Rouse, Constable Library Shiverton, Mr. Samuels, Mr. Leader, and Mr. Stapleton. Those were people that kind of helped us during the course and, you know, gave us different aspects such as statement writing, the Island Constable Act, powers of observation, customer service, powers of arrest, the traffic protocols, you know, Ministry of Health. As I said, Mr. Leader came and, you know, told us about, you know, sanitization, basically, and the social distancing, basically when the borders will open. We got a good history lesson, basically, on the prescribed areas throughout the island by Mr. Stapleton.
Right. Is he able to help you to assess better, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I also learned a lot from it, you know, also not being from here, so I learned.
Yes.
Stuff I
So
never
insight
knew.
for you, right?
Yes.
Help you do your job better too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Learning is continuous.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And also the head of the COVID task force, Mr. Samuels, basically told us certain things that are going to be implemented in certain areas throughout the island,
Right.
and how we will be able to assist. Because, you know, also like the compliance officers, you know, we're going to have to make sure, you know, assist police and everybody as a whole. So those are things that basically we learned, and it was needed. You know, you're always refreshing because, you know, sometimes you might forget, and some people need motivation. Come back in there because you don't want to get lackadaisical at times.
Okay.
All right. So, how will okay? Granted that they would have they would have taken part in the training courses and all of that. So, how will their duties now be impacted by the reopening of the borders? Because, as you know, the borders will be reopened. However, it is by no means business as usual, by no stretch of anyone's imagination. So, how will their duties be impacted now by the borders being reopened?
Well, basically, their duties right now is going to be, they have to be more to enforce these protocols that came in there. They got to be more vigilant, observe more, because as I heard, they're going to have bans, and we have to make sure we look to see high risk in certain areas. Because right now we don't really want no spread. You know, if you're supposed to be in a certain area, they're not supposed to come over to the other side, especially in Frigate Bay. We're going to have a lot of the island constables assistant over there, and you know we have the hotels there. So we have to make sure that they stay in their prescribed area.
Okay.
Because we also, the police going to be more front end, as well as the soldiers, I believe, going to be helping. But you know, just to assist in there.
Okay.
So basically right now,
So
we
you're more the front line, and then you have the second line and the third line.
Yes.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah. So, you know, once we're all essential workers, but we just have to be more vigilant and observe more. You know, certain things. That was one of the class that we took, was observation. We watch certain things. You watch a video and you'll notice, you'll watch something, but things change and you never really knew. You just watched the video, like the most important things, but a lot of stuff was changing in the video. So we have to make sure
Yeah, very observant.
Yes.
observant.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Marshall. So they've been in the field now for well over a year. Tell us about some of the challenges that the island constables would have to deal with on a daily basis. And Mr. Joseph, you can give us some of your experiences as well.
Okay. Some of the challenges that we have been having is persons don't respect the uniform and don't respect certain persons. Right? And that's one of the big challenges. So I might be talking to Mr. Marshall and GQ might come and say, but don't study him. Right? He can't do you nothing. But little did do GQ know, right? GQ is more easier to be arrested than Mr. Marshall because we call it obstruction. And once you obstruct me from doing my duty, I can easily arrest you and leave Mr. Marshall.
Okay. Okay. You have the authority to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
So is that the only challenge you face, Mr. Marshall? What are some of the other challenges that the island constables encounter?
Well, a lot of the challenges, basically, you have island constables trying to perform their job, but at the same time, it goes both ways. As you say, customer service. Sometimes the reaction towards people, if you park, say, example, MoneyGram area, you might approach a vehicle, and the way that you approach the person might cause a reaction. So you might approach somebody in a nice way, and the person might be hostile, and they don't want to, cooperate. Vice versa, you might go there hostile. Oh, give me a license and everything, and the person might be. You have to use your discretion sometimes. And right now, that's kind of we have to do the border because you have different personalities, and we're trying to level that out. So that's the main. They try to get a good balance. That's one of the major problems we're having right now.
I can understand that.
So but for the lack of respect in some cases or in some areas, that more or less is the greatest challenge that you guys would encounter.
Yes, on a daily basis.
Yes, sir.
So that would be more or less focused on the prescribed areas, yes?
Yes.
So what about in the other areas that you all perform duties? Are there any difference in the challenges that you experience?
Well, as Mr. Marshall said earlier, persons, right, they tend to speak to you or answer or talk to you how they perceive you to be. If they say you come with the meaning of, no, they will just talk to you that way. Right? But if you go to them cool and calm and speak to them, right, they will say, okay, let me talk to them, let me listen to what they want. Because at the same time, you might be trying to get information from me, I will be also getting information from you, right? And the way how you answer me or the way how you approach me or I approach you, right, says a lot.
Okay.
So, what would you say to people who give the island constables a hard time, Mr. Marshall or Mr. Joseph? What would your advice be to them?
What I will say to them, give respect to who respect is due. You don't know what can happen to you later down the road. So, if Mr. Marshall, Mr. Richard, Mr. Joseph, or whoever comes here as island constable, listen to them and be adherence to the laws. Because nobody is above the law. Nobody whatsoever is above the law. So if I come and speak to you, cool and calm, give me the respect as you will give other persons.
Okay.
Mr. Marshall?
I agree. And just like Mr. Joseph said, a lot of people need to realize, respect the uniform. You know, I come from an institution in the U.S. Army. Basically, once you have a uniform on, anybody could be the traffic warden, island constable, anybody. You know, you got your firemen, medical workers. Respect them in a whole. And that's the most important thing is respect. And we need to respect one another.
Okay. You want to take a break now?
Sure, we can take a break and come back. Give credit to our sponsors, National Bank.
All right. And will we be opening the lines? Or?
Yes, please.
All right. Number to
Take
call.
a few calls.
All right. Number to call when we return will be 465-2555. We'll be back right after this.
Use your National Bank Visa debit card 5 times or more weekly for a chance to win a $500 shopping spree. Compliments of National Bank. So think twice the next time you want to use cash. Choose your National Bank Visa debit card instead, because you might be the next lucky winner. Use your National Bank Visa debit card every transaction for a chance to be the next lucky winner. Cashless SKN is our new lifestyle choice. National Bank, always here.
Improve your energy levels. Stay sharp on your feet. Drastically improve your performance. Burn fat, all while lowering health risks. Have a cup of coffee today at Coffee Shop Port Zante. Coffee Shop Port Zante, now serving happiness.
27 minutes moving up to the hour of 10 o'clock. We're back, and as I hand things back over to Sergeant in the studio, who's hosting the program this morning. The lines are open, by the way, 465-2555. Sergeant.
So, Mr. Marshall, Mr. Joseph, tell us, are there moments when the job feels rewarding, or where you feel discouraged or disheartened? You know, you can take them in stages. For where you feel gratified doing your job, or where you would feel disheartened, and give us examples of instances where
before you answer, though, and try to remember the question. Let's take a call now, all right? Hi, good morning, you're live.
Good morning, GQ.
Good morning.
And first I must say good morning to Ian Creeley, the former commissioner.
Yes, go ahead, jam down.
And the youngster who hosting this show. I don't know him, but he do a thing the other day and I don't so like it. But we will get into that. Mr. Marshall, I have 3 questions. I generally want to know why your workers, you don't got at least one down at the terminal for what I seen throughout the week. And next thing again, that these workers are under you. They must show you respect. And when you give order, they must not scope face. And when you're trying to locate them, they must answer the phone. I was speaking to a manager down at the port. Down there fully camerized now. And the manager was saying that it's amazing that when she up in the office, she seeing groups at 2 and 3 and 4. I mean...
We do apologize for that. It seemed that the call dropped, but can you answer his first question?
Well, basically right now we're short staffed right now because some of our officers, especially at Port Zante area, we have some that's actually on sick leave. And we also have 2 of them that's actually on maternity leave.
Vacation.
And some it basically was on vacation because we're trying to do everything before the borders open.
Right.
So basically right now there's only 4 that we have.
Okay.
So presently we're not at the ferry terminal, only at the Port Zante area.
Okay.
And as sometimes that was our problem we had before, and sometimes still, that they'll leave the locations and basically, communicate to let you know where they go. Because sometimes they might need them back at the police station, and we need to know what's happening. But I understand the situation. That was one of the recommendations that were given, to basically stay on the prescribed areas and make sure that you could always find them at the point. But right now, I have to tell Mr. Jamdown that right now we're short-staffed, so you're not going to see as many people there as you'd usually want to.
Okay. Back over to you. We have a call. It's your choice.
Go back to the phone line.
Okay. Hi, good morning. You're live. Hey.
How you do?
Well, I'm good.
Okay, and good morning to my colleagues.
Yes, they're listening.
Right, this is PWOP speaking to PWP. I was listening to your opening remarks. And all I have to say to you, gentlemen, the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. And policemen are peacemakers, and they are there to uphold the law and enforce the law. Now, if you guys as police come to me culture, and you see me did do something wrong on the road, and you walk up to me and in a cool, calm, professional manner, and you say, Mr. Culture, what you did there was wrong, And I say, okay, sorry, I'm sorry. Well, then there is where now you use your discretion. You give me a warning. But if you come to me in a cool, professional way, and you said, hold on there, driver, please. And I want to be ignorant and bad and start to use profanities to you, then you have no other choice but just to enforce the law and do what you have to do. And if GQ come and say, why you don't like the man? Well, you lock up GQ too. That is what you all are there for. Doesn't matter how small your body be in stature. we all have to respect the uniform and the duty and you as a police officer. So please, don't be telling ignorant people, this is from doing that. I'm not going to warn you. Once we decide we're going to be ignorant, well, you show them you could be more ignorant, but you're not going to perform ignorant. You're going to perform in a professional manner, and then we will learn from your performance. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thank you for your call, Culture. We don't have any calls at the moment.
Yes, so you were discussing about the short staff and the some of the prescribed areas like the ferry terminal. So what is your intention when your staff comes back up to full capacity?
Well, basically, we're not at the ferry terminal anymore. Right now, we're just at for Bastia Group, we're at the Port Zante area. But once they come back, we're going to have it basically split it out. Once we have our 10, we'll split them out at the certain areas, all exits. Because we have to maintain all exits. In case any incident happen, at least we'll be able to see when certain things happen.
Okay.
That's what I want to implement once we come back out. Because since we had the class, we haven't got our full staff to implement what the new procedures that we have set up in manners.
Okay. So in other words then, there has been an adjustment somewhat in the duties that you perform now.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of changes to the duties have there been made?
Well, basically, before we had central area was the chairs area by the arrival area. But what I want to implement is we have the 2 exits over there by the arrival area. Make sure we have a person on each side. Then we also have down by the chair, by the taxi stand area, we have the museum and Pelican Mall. So we want to make sure all the areas outside is covered. Each man or woman can see one another, basically, in case you could assist one another. Everybody's each other's battle buddy, basically, when you see somebody. Because you don't want to be set aside in one area and you can't assist. So that was the only thing. We were too jumbled up, I believe, in certain areas where we could be more split up and be able to cover more of an area at a time. So I want to implement that.
Okay. We have another call.
Yes. Go back to the phone.
Let's see if they're there. Good morning. Yes, you're live. Go ahead. All right, let's try this next call. Line 3, you are live. Good morning.
Yeah, GQ, I was saying that these officers, they got to look like they're walking. People paying them, I mean, you could imagine the manager is telling me that she's in the office and she watching people on the phone like, you're a civilian. You're down there to do a certain job and you got to look like you're walking in the eyes of we. Who paying you? Enough of that. Mr. Marshall, I think you need a transport. And the powers that be must give you a transport. And youngster, I want to let you know, the commissioner is the boss of the police. This is a show helping police a great deal. And the commissioner must make himself present. Nobody got nothing against the commissioner. And the commissioner before step up. I talked to many of them. They congratulate him well. But why he ain't coming to we? We got questions to ask. We on the road, we seen things. We know how police force run here. That's all I is treating the British government does. A good police force, a hand chop, and an alright prison. A good enough prison. We need performance. And we ain't standing for nothing less. As elder culture will tell you that. Have a good day, gentlemen. And one more thing you do. The guys them who carrying out the protocol for the COVID-19, we want you all to step up, because we will be watching you all. And please, when you go out there and you see these abuse, deal with it. As bigger culture say, we facing a serious times. The 31st is a lot of challenges for this country. And we got to step up this thing. Police, civilian, army men, everybody. Children and all. We got to teach them the protocols. Because we ain't got nothing to come back here, Or you see the big America facing? Have a good day, gentlemen.
All right, Jamdong.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen?
Yes, Mr. Marshall. So, with the borders reopening, more than imminent, how has their duties, the manner in which they function? Now, I know you said that there have been changes to their duties, particularly the areas where they function. How has their individual duties now been adjusted? Because if one would notice that they are on the very front line, they're at the vanguard, so to speak. They're the ones that, once the borders are open, they are the prescribed areas. So they are the ones that the visitors and tourists coming into the country will encounter first. So how has their individual duties been affected, and how have they changed in terms of preparing them for that?
Well, the individual duties in the certain areas, basically it was Port Zante, and as I told you, Old Road, Sandy Point, Tabernacle, and Frigate Bay. Now, we would have to assist also with, they have the compliance officers, and also the defense force and police to watch certain areas. As I was told, the bands that would go around their arms,
Tell you where you belong.
to make sure they enforce to stay where they belong. Because that was the main problem. We never had to do that before. So now we have to take notes and communicate more efficiently. Basically, we're just the prescribed areas, deal with the situation. Once it's more out of control, you get a police officer to deal with the situation. But now we have to communicate more effectively and observe bands and keep everything in check. Because we don't want nobody escaping certain areas where they're supposed to be contained.
Okay. Gentlemen, we have another call on the line. Let's take this call. Thank you for your patience and good morning.
Yes, good morning. I want to respond to something Jamdong just said, that the British left us three things. One was the prisoner, one was the police. I want to disagree with him, because what the British left us with is a colonial police force which we're still holding on to, and a prison which is a dungeon, because when they built that for us, when their people committed crimes, they would send them to another island. Just keep shipping them around. And to Mr. Jamdong, police officers are not security guards. No police should be at Port Zante. The Port Authority should get its own police. Go to your representative, have them amend the act and create a police force for the Port Authority. And you do not need police officers to be guarding anything. Don't they need two shifts in good times? Morning until evening, midnight, you bring in security. You know, so this thing about station and police, people acting as if police is security guards. They are not. And you guys need to speak up. That's my thoughts.
All right, thank you. I'm going to let them respond. Sergeant?
Yes, Mr. Marshall, any thoughts on that last caller?
Well, in all honesty, UDC do have a security down there. Their manpower is kind of small, so that would be a good thing to bring up to expand, because that's their primary location responsibility. I'm aware they do have a shift system, and I think also the Defense Force also do some patrols at night down in the Port Zante area.
Okay.
So we just assist because that's was a tourist destination, as a main hub when the cruise ship comes in. So that was the most, I think the reason why we were put down there, to assist with the police. So instead we have police officers down there. We do have police officers, but to cut down the manpower, and as we say, the strain on the police force to send 10 police officers down there where they could be needed in other areas.
Okay.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Marshall. So, again, being at the very front, on the very front line, have any preparations been made to equip both yourself and the island constables with the requisite protective gear because again, when you're at the very front, at the very vanguard, you know, certain things need to be implemented. So have any preparations been made to that end?
We were told that they would get back with us to the health department after we had our classes, and I believe masks and sanitize and gloves would be implemented to us. I don't think we come to a part where we have to wear Tyrex and them kind of stuff right now. We're not going to be really that front line. You understand?
Okay.
But or PPE basically saying. But right now for like masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer, I believe that the health department will assist.
Okay, so preparations are afoot to equip you all with that kind of equipment. All right, that is good, because again, GQ being on the very front line, one and to kind of respond to something the last caller said, safety and security is all our responsibility. But when it comes to us as police, it is paramount. In an ideal world, GQ, Port Zante would have their own security. But with the safety and security being the responsibility of the police, we have to put things in place in order to ensure that both citizens and visitors alike are protected. So I'm happy that the health department has plans afoot to equip you all, being on the front line with the proper equipment.
Gentlemen, we have some more callers.
Yes, go back to the phone line.
Line 1, you're live, and good morning.
GQ, morning.
Good morning.
Morning to your guest there.
Morning.
Let me say this to your last caller, GQ. He telling the police they must speak up because police is not security. But how they going to speak up when they do security duty? They do security duty, so how they going to speak up? What they going to say? They ain't going to talk against the cell. They don't do security duty at a sideline. So what they going to speak up say? He's trying to defend the police, but the police ain't defending the side because they can't. That's what they do in supermarkets. So what they do? What they are, police or security?
All right.
Your last caller wasn't thinking.
Okay.
He wasn't thinking at all. And let me say this. You got a man here saying, he come like he gets comfort in saying the sharp staff. Twice a year for years now, you hear they don't have big song and dance with police staffing out. Culture does ask with them. But you say no, they are sick leave. 2 of them on maternity leave. I wonder how strong the source is. Manually. Can I get a count, GQ?
If you can get a count?
Yeah.
We'll find out shortly.
Because I hear comfort in saying sharp star. But that's why the footage mission with the man that very yesterday. It is alleged that the evidence can be found.
Gentlemen, before we take any more calls, I think it's... one caller said something, another caller said something, and now we have another caller, and we have not really addressed those issues. I think it's sort of moving forward. I think we should do so.
I agree, GQ. And to that last caller, some of the things he said about police officers working security and all of that, I can't speak to that. What I can tell you, GQ, is that the Police Act and the regulations speaks to a procedure as to how a police officer can go about having a second job, and it gives you a list of the jobs that you're barred from doing. So even if you intend to apply for that, you need not apply because you're disallowed from doing so by the law. So I will say that to that caller, and in address to that situation, where the caller indicated that there's passing out twice a year, that is inaccurate information, GQ. I don't know what passing out exactly the caller is speaking about, but we had a passing out. The last passing out we had for the police would have been earlier this year. Subsequent to that, I think it may have been the year before, but we do not have any passing out twice a year. To speak to the strength of the police force, we are 400 plus strong. Last count was 480 something. I stand to be corrected, but that is the last count. But the caller and the public should also understand that yes, we have that strength of a police force. However, these police have to be distributed to different departments. Because at the end of the day, You need officers to investigate. You need officers to prosecute. You need officers to be on the front line, which hence the reason why we would have used the island constables to augment the police force in certain areas. You need officers to attend to other duties. You have specialized departments, crime scene, canine units, anti-narcotic units, the special services units. So GQ, at the end of the day, by the time you finish trying to man all these departments and trying to do so equally, you're going to end up with a position where you have 5, sometimes 8, or maybe 10 persons in a department. In an ideal world, is that number adequate enough to function? No, by no means. However, we have come to terms with that, and we have ensured that we try to function optimally and to the best of our ability.
Mr. Marshall, anything to add to that? I know he mentioned you. I think he didn't like the fact of how you said you only have what you have available to you at the moment, and in terms of how you outline who's on vacation and who's on maternity leave. What would you say to that caller in response to your comments?
Well, I understand where he's coming at, but just like Mr. Richards said, we have the police force, and basically they're spread out. And the way they're spread out, I have control on who I'm working with, and we are island constables. And the island constables are spread throughout the island. It's only 23 island constables we have. And as I said, there's 10 here. Then you have two at Old Road, 2 at Sandy Point, 1 in Black Rock's Tabernacle area, and we have 6 in the Frigate Bay. So, and basically with who's out, we have to work and basically spread it evenly. So I understand what he said, but just to be honest, that's what we have now. I have no control, with the police, who they could send to us, but they do send once we
in terms of assistance.
Once it's needed.
Okay.
So.
All right, gentlemen, let's take this next call. Good morning, Your Life.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen. Hello, good morning to all.
Good morning.
Okay, I would like to encourage the island constables. I mean, some of them look a little lackadaisical. You could see some lackadaisicalness in some of them sometimes, but there is always room for improvement. Let us work with them. Let us encourage them. Let us just keep encouraging them.
Thank you for your comment.
And one thing I realized, we are not here to bash, we're just here to make them improve, let them know that there's room for improvement. One thing I noticed, to me, the young ladies, the skirts are too short. To me, I find, I know it's modern days and whatever, but to me, some of them skirts are just too short, a little too short. So, be encouraged, do the best, whatever best you can do. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Let's take this next call. Good morning, Your Life.
Good morning again, GQ. The lady touched the real part about it. These people must look like officers. You understand? And not like you're dressing going over the strip. You understand? You must look good in your uniform, you skirt down to your knees, because you're representing an organization. And Mr. Marshall, you need a vehicle. Supervision is very important. And you if you're short staff, you only want about four officers down there, 3, 4. But somebody, 2 must be down on the terminal always. This is my country, I know about it. And me could talk, and I will talk. We need these people to step up for the government money. We need performance. I can't say much on these COVID people yet. But for what I've seen, and it look like your hand tie. It look like when you ask for certain things, people up there giving you. And men don't keep quiet with that, because that port down there must secure. Workers must give the government service for the money, and we look after things properly. GQ, see you when I see you. Have a good day, my brother.
You too, my brother. Gentlemen, any responses? Or you have a next question for them, Sergeant?
So, how to kind of address a few issues. how are you dealing with one as you would have indicated the vacation, the sick leave and the maternity leave? Because the reality is you have no control over when anyone goes sick leave or when anyone becomes pregnant.
True.
So how have you been dealing with that to the best of your ability?
Well, right now, as we said, we don't have no control. As you said, basically, who's on maternity leave and who's on sick leave, because one of the sick leave was a broken foot. And it's not like somebody made up a situation. Foot was broke. So right now, we try to spread them out. And some of them are entitled to some of their time off. But they know they can't get them all at the same time. So basically, once I get back my staff out to my capacity, who's entitled to their days, I will try to give them, accommodate them one at a time. Because you can't go give them 3 at a time, even though once the year's coming out, because sometimes some institutions you have to use off your days before, for the year.
Yeah, but for your type of job, it's different. Though.
Yes, and remember when the COVID situation came in, they couldn't take their days off because they were an essential worker. So, situations happen, and you have to try to your best of your ability. But a lot of them do understand, and they're trying to work with us. So that's the best that we could do right now.
Want to take some more calls?
Yes, please.
All right. Let me see. We're almost at 10 o'clock. We're going to take these last 2 calls, and then we're going to start wrapping up the program. Hi, good morning, your life.
Good morning. Just a simple question. When you say you have short staff, well, you are not hiring anymore. You say you have 23?
Yes, so at 23 we have present.
So you are not intending hiring any more people to work?
In the process.
Well, they're in the process, and the interviews were done. But I'm not sure with the situation. I don't want to answer on that because you remember with the COVID. But interviews were done for almost a good 75 to 100 people that was done. So, but right now we just have to wait and see.
Okay, but depending on that, I think the guys, some of them they look so, they need to brisk up themselves differently. They're probably a bit too dead in the areas. They need to brisk up themselves. Anyway, have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning, you are live.
Yeah, I come back here. Question to the policemen them. Now, suppose someone, let's say a lady, go over to Port Zante in one of those business places, and she going to take a shoplift, which we call locally thieving, and the owner say lock the door. Who the owner going to call to check with that person? And if that person supposed to be searched, can any security guard company send anybody in there to search a woman? It has to be a woman police go over there. So when the caller come talking about no police supposed to be over Port Zante, police supposed to be all over the island. And a police is a watchman is a police. Even though you don't have on a uniform, say police or watchman, everybody's supposed to be looking out for your country. Where you see wrong, you condemn it. Where you see right, you applaud it. So let me take back that. Have a good day, GQ and the policemen them there.
All right. And see that you got in before, and I won't let you be your last caller. I'll let this person be your last caller. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning.
I have a concern with the fitness, especially for the women police. I don't know if there's any requirement in fitness standpoint. Looking fit and being physically fit, I suppose both of them work hand in hand. So I'll just ask you that first question. And the other question is that, what is the average for the population of the police force comparing it to the overall population? Because my understanding is that we have a very high percentage of police in regard to the population of St. Kitts and Nevis. Maybe that might be the question that need to be addressed, because saying that the short staff. I believe the police is really and truly over the average as to what is required in population, only Caribbean, so to speak. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And that's going to be our final caller for this morning. Gentlemen, I'll let you respond accordingly. If you want to address that caller, that'll be nice as well.
Go ahead, Mr. Marshall. Any comments, any thoughts?
Well,
In relation to the island constables.
With the island constables? Okay, because, I can't on the part with the average. With the island constables, as we know, and we said sickness, and they were saying with the female officers, it's kind of a tricky situation because, they would say with a male, males, we don't go into a maternity situation and we can't help it. But we have to try to work our best because majority, there's 3 males. We have 3 males. 2 of them is at Frigate Bay, and Mr. Joseph is Port Zante area and national security basically between. So, so we have more females than males right now.
Wow. Okay.
Hopefully, with this next batch with the interviews,
have a better gender balance.
Yeah, try a gender balance. But that's what we got at the time. I guess was more females than males.
Any closing remarks, Mr. Marshall, Mr. Joseph?
Well, all I want to tell the general public, you must respect the island constables. Don't care what it takes to respect them, and you will get your respect in return.
Also, before I close, I would like to thank the caller that gave the encouragement, and to the island constable, we really appreciate that, and all the callers with their recommendations, with uniforms, and being at their areas, we appreciate it.
Sergeant?
Thank you very much, Mr. Marshall, Mr. Joseph, for coming here and raising the awareness as it pertains to the island constables. Before I close, GQ, just to address that last caller. That last caller may very well be correct because in the final analysis, the ratio of police officers per 1,000 people should be 2.6. So we're looking at least 3 officers per 1,000 people. Ideally, 10 officers per 100,000. So per capita, that caller may be correct. We may very well be overstaffed as it pertains to the ratio of police to civilians. That is as per international standards. However, GQ, we've seen where the requirements for safety and security have increased over the years. The requirements for certain departments, the requirements for extra duties. With this COVID-19 pandemic, again, the need for safety and security has increased exponentially. So these are things that we have to grapple with on a daily basis as security officers, while ensuring that we still keep the public protected and safe. GQ, it's always a pleasure to be here. In closing, I just want to thank much like the caller that called in, to thank the island constables for the job that they do, and to encourage them to continue to keep up the good work. GQ, the reality is that, as the writer Oscar Wilde says, wherever there's a man who exercises authority, there's going to be a man who's going to resist it. At the end of the day, notwithstanding that, we still have a job to do. And we have to ensure that all remain safe and secure, particularly in this time of crisis. And we have to ensure that we not just function optimally, efficiently and effectively, but with the highest integrity and professionality. So again, I want to thank the island constables for the job they do, and Mr. Marshall, I want to thank you for coming again, for raising the awareness. GQ, thank you for having me as usual. This has been another edition of Policing with You. Compliments the good people down there at National Bank. Do join us again next week for another edition.
Why all the segregation, all our but foundation, oh, let us unite as one, let us unite as one.
At FarmCare Pharmacy, we continue to expand our offerings to meet our customers' needs. We are home to your favorite products and brands, including Alcolado, bodybuilding supplements, Canadian healing oil, Limacol, Ferrol, SSS tonic, Smoker's extra hard toothbrush, Kayla stockings, and many more. Stop by our 4th Street store from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Or visit our Bird Rock branch 9 a.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday, on Sundays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We are the preferred pharmacy in St. Kitts and Nevis and are committed to serve you better. Farm Care, for your wellness, comfort, and privacy.
They're the best I know. That's the only place.
The Cable introduces My Cable, your convenient online cable account experience. It gives you the power to pay your bills in real